Ever since testing, whether it's pre-season, in-season or post-season, has been limited in Formula One, simulators have become incredibly important tools for all of the teams to try and optimize, improve and work on their cars. But how realistic are these simulators? Are they nothing more than a souped-up video game? How realistic to actually driving a Formula One car are these simulators in 2025? Well, let's go through it, guys. Here's a full explainer video on Formula One simulators and how close they are to real life. So in many aspects, Formula One simulators are incredibly realistic. They replicate the handling, visuals and race scenarios with stunning accuracy. But they can't fully recreate the sensation of driving a Formula One car out on a circuit. There are a lot of key differences. The biggest one really is the environmental factors. While they can simulate rain, they can simulate hot temperatures, cold temperatures, even wind and things like that, it will never be the same as driving a car out on the track. Because while it can simulate these factors for the cars, it cannot do so for the drivers, or at least not in the same way as actually getting out there in a Formula One car. Let me use the example of Singapore, a very tricky circuit that is of course always run in nighttime conditions. While Formula One simulators can try and replicate this, they don't have the same effect as what it would actually be driving a car for 2 hours around Marina Bay in extremely hot and humid conditions. Of course, drivers train for this in other ways, but it's something they don't do in the simulator, at least not typically anyway. But these simulators are incredibly expensive and high-tech pieces of equipment. They literally cost millions of dollars in some cases, but they are vital for being able to work on changes to the car, setup and different race scenarios ahead of every Grand Prix. Formula One drivers don't just sit around at home relaxing while they're in the off-season, while they are going through different season breaks. For example, in this current 3-week break between the British and Belgian Grand Prix, yes, the drivers might have had a little break for about a week or so, but they'll still come into the factory pretty regularly during this break to work on race scenarios, to work on improvements to the car, and also go in the simulator, because there is no limit on how much time you can spend in a simulator in Formula One. However, in-season testing is pretty much non-existent these days, and even pre-season testing is very, very tiny compared to what it used to be, where basically there was no limit. In the days of Michael Schumacher, the guy will be putting in thousands upon thousands of laps around the Fiorano test track just outside of Ferrari's headquarters. These days, that's just not allowed. Although, of course, you do have TPC programs, the testing of previous car programs, but the testing for that is not that relevant because these are cars that are at least 3 years old. But it's much more than just a video game that is basically souped up. It's also the equipment that you're in. Years ago, I went to the Autosport International in Birmingham and I tried out a simulator that was there, and it was only, in inverted commas, one that cost I think about €15,000, so about £12,000 or so, and it was incredible. Like, whenever you shifted gear, you could really feel the gear shifts through your back, for example. There was a lot of impressive hardware that went with the software, of course, and that really does help to simulate what driving a Formula One car is like. And they'll actually move around and try and simulate the G-forces as well that drivers will experience. If you turn into a right-hand corner, then they will very much have these push rods that effectively just move you around. So how realistic are they? Pretty realistic. They are pretty close to what it is like to drive a Formula One car. Although driving a Formula One car in a simulator, most people could probably do that after a certain amount of time with enough practice, but driving a real-life Formula One car while you're out there with all the eyeballs in the world on you, it's a totally different thing, a totally different sensation, and that is why these drivers are the best in the world. Apart from Lance Stroll, but we won't talk about him. But yeah, guys, there we go. There's a bit of a rundown just going over F1 simulators. I've put as much as I can into this 5-minute or so video for you guys, but there is a full article over on the f1chronicle.com going into far more depth than I can here. Link will be in description on YouTube. If you're not on YouTube, go to our website and look it up. You'll find it pretty easy if you search for it in the search bar. But yeah, guys, have a fantastic day wherever in the world today. And if you've ever tried an F1 simulator out, let me know in the comments below. What did you think of it? How realistic was it? How scary was it? See you soon, guys. Have a fantastic day.